But I do want to start off by talking about what Liverpool actually need in the January transfer window. Because what we've seen over the past few days is a change of direction, apparently. And I think it's actually a double change of direction, if I'm honest with you. Because previously what we'd seen from many journalists who seemingly have sources at the club who brief them have been that Liverpool aren't really going to do any business in the January window. Now, if you juxtapose that with the other thought process of, are Liverpool still in for Andre or not, you kind of get a bit confused about, well, why are we in for nobody? Or then we're maybe in for Andre. But again, we've seen another little twist in the last 48 hours. It now looks as though Liverpool could be active in the January market. The question is, what do we need? What is potentially achievable in that market? And how much money do we have to play around with? So, off the top of my head, I kind of see it a little bit like this. As each day goes by, it feels, at least publicly, less likely that Liverpool are in the mix for Andre. Now, it could be a bluff. It could be we're keeping quiet because we don't want to bid more. So, we'll wait and see what happens there. But it does look like there's serious interest from Liverpool in bringing in defensive reinforcements. And I think I mentioned this yesterday, but the more I think about this, the more I feel it could be the right decision. Because we have Andy Robertson currently ruled out. You know, we're questionable on what we all think about Costas and him being a deputy. And then we've got Trent on the other side. So, if we could get a utility fullback, I'd be over the moon. Now, I'd also wouldn't mind a specialist like that young Barco kid from Boca Juniors. We could have Lloyd Kelly, as been mentioned before. Spurs are looking at him as well. He can play either as a centre-back or as a full-back. Piero Hincapié is a name that's been mentioned a lot over the past few days, and I'd love to get your thoughts on that. We ran a poll yesterday in the channel where we said, if you guys had an option to either sign Piero Hincapié or Gonzalo Inacio, which one would you choose? And it was, I think, 2-1 in favour of Hincapié. Problem there is, Leverkusen are in a good position. Leverkusen are challenging Bayern Munich and are still in the Europa League. And actually on that, bit of a sidetrack here, what's the guy's name? El Chingarito, was that the dude? Over in Spain who, you know, for the longest time was saying TikTok, TikTok, TikTok for the Mbappe stuff. Well, apparently that he has said that he believes Xavi Alonso will be the next Real Madrid manager. No, excuse me, I'm wrong. The next Bayern Munich manager, excuse me. And it goes as far as to say that that will happen in the summer. So obviously Thomas Tuchel probably, his ears are pricked up over this and wants, coming in to take my job already? And we do know that there is rumoured to be an agreement, whether it's in black and white or a verbal agreement, that if Bayern Munich, Real Madrid or Liverpool came in for Alonso, there'd be a conversation to be had. So I don't know if the likelihood of the manager not being there past the summer would increase the possibility of them being willing to sell, as an example. Frimpong, we've spoken about as well, has been somebody who's been linked to Liverpool in recent times. So, for me, if we could get in a centre-back and a full-back in this January window, I look at it this way. There's 3 pieces of this puzzle need to be solved for Liverpool in total. A full-back, a centre-back, and a defensive midfielder. If, for argument's sake, we can fill 2 of those 3 spaces with additions in January, I'd be over the moon with that. And see, I view January transfers maybe a little bit differently to other people. I don't expect them to come in January and be a solution immediately. But what I like, personally, about January signings is the bedding in process is done for the next season. So you don't have to get somebody in at the end of a transfer window in the summer and try and get them into the team quickly. If they come in January and they hit the ground running and it's all systems go, brilliant. That's a bonus. But if they take time, at least you've got them eased in and ready to go for the new season. So I would say it's clever if Liverpool go out there and bring in defensive reinforcement. Frimpong next season is a must, said Jamie Doyle in the chat. I mean, look, if we brought in Frimpong and had him and Trent, even if Trent does half his time in midfield, the ability to rotate there and for Klopp to have really interesting decisions would be top notch. What I have enjoyed and what I have liked is that Liverpool have been very strongly linked with very specific types of players. When I looked at the kid Barco from Boca Juniors, he looks exactly like a Jurgen Klopp type player. So I get the argument that everybody wants a number 6, and I want a number 6. But I've also tried to ask myself, if Bajcetic was available next week, as an example, and Bajcetic played right through into December, and we're into the January window, and Bajcetic hasn't picked up a little injury, or he hasn't had a recurrence of his calf problem, then I'd start to feel a bit more comfortable that with Bajcetic and Endo and maybe McAllister, possibly even Jones, that we'd have enough there to get us through to a time of the year where there's more time to get deals done, and perhaps somebody who Klopp wants will become available. So this window is going to be very interesting. I want to know what you think. Do you think Liverpool will solve the defensive crisis? Do you think Andre is a smokescreen and that Liverpool are actually in? Because it feels weird to me that you've got 3 top clubs there in Liverpool, Arsenal, and I can't remember whether it was Manchester United or somebody else in the Premier League was linked with Andre. But Fulham are the ones seemingly winning this race. I can only imagine, with all due respect to Fulham, that that's because the others aren't putting forward serious interest. Now, I know there's also interest in him from Juventus and I think AC Milan. I'm hoping to be corrected on that one. But I don't think they have the money to be able to compete even with the likes of Fulham with that Premier League revenue. So my thoughts are, if Andre's gone to Fulham, it's because nobody else has really played their hand yet. I refuse to believe that if Liverpool came to the table and offered the same money and it was a straight decision from the player, that he wouldn't come to Liverpool Football Club. But hey, I am known for being a bit deluded occasionally. Tapsoba from Leverkusen is class as well, said Jasper. Look, Leverkusen have some pretty in-demand players at the minute because of the great work being done by Xavi Alonso and of course their style of football. So I want to ask, what do Liverpool need? Let me know in the comments now what you think will happen or what you think is likely to happen in the January market. One thing that I want to say before I finish up this little segment is we can't hear poor mouth from John W. Henry and FSG, because once they showed their hand to us, the fans, that they had that Caicedo money in the summer, and we've had such a good start to the season, the fear or the excuse of potentially missing out on the Champions League next year, I think that's dissipated a little bit. So they can't use the "we have no money" angle. So I'm interested to see how it goes. But as I said, over to you guys now to let me know your thoughts on it.